Hey everybody, I am Juspar, and today we're going to go over the second video in how to make use of SWG Aide for restoration resources and tracking of your inventory and schematics. So the second video is going to cover Interplanetary Survey Droids, ISDs, and the first thing you're going to need to do to get your ISD process working is head on over to SWG Aide because you need to download the app. There are other things that we can do at Aide that don't require the app, but using ISDs is absolutely going to need it. So bounce on over there to the website. SWG Aide, hit the download, go to the GitHub, and get the exe from there. There are some instructions on the SWG Aide website download page that tell you how to get the installation done. Once you've downloaded the app from here, you're going to want to go over back to SWG Aide and get your installation working correctly. And then we'll jump into the game. So you're going to need some ISDs. You're going to need some survey tools. Both the ISDs and the survey tools will be consumed by the process. You're going to need one ISD for each resource type and each planet. So I'm going to do minerals, chemicals, and gas. It means I'm going to need 10 of each survey tool and 30 ISDs. The ISDs come in stacks. There is a range of quality and quantity on them, so I'm using stacks of 10 at quality 89. Those take me around about 20 minutes between send and receive. You can make them faster, but they'll be smaller stacks, or you can make them slower and they'll be bigger stacks. Launch the droid, select the planet, select the tool that you want to use up. It has to be out of a crate. Actually, I'm not sure it has to be out of the crate. It has to be in your inventory, can't be in your backpack. Heading down the list, one planet at a time. And there we go, there's the first batch done. I'm going to rinse and repeat that for the other two types of resources that we're scanning today. Remember that tools don't require any quality at all. And there we can see the time that it takes for them to return. That means I have about 19 minutes before the first ones start coming in. And we are going to go and jump over to Kashyyyk and then Mustafar, because ISDs do not work on those two planets. So while I'm waiting, I will go and manually scan those two planets for the resources that I care about, which is only inorganics. The inorganics on Kashyyyk consist of fiberplast and water. So it's a real quick check there. Resources, yep, they're both there. Moving on. After the Talos Imperial Outpost, buy a return ticket to Mustafar. And on the day that I did this demo, there were no new resources to be found on Mustafar, so it was really quick. Change the planet, and we just scan down the list, comparing the tool to the list that's in ISD. Deplete the ones that have gone out of spawn. Nothing to add today, but we would manually add any resources here. back to Talus, and then wait.
A few minutes later.
Narration looks like it might be out of sync, interestingly enough. Here come all the emails. We've got 30 of those. We do a mail save. This is going to take a text file copy of each resource, which is each email which has come in through the system, and put them in your profiles page. And then you can jump to the Aide application. You can pull up the correct profile, correct installation of the game, and then the correct profile, and then you'll see the emails. Takes a moment for it to load up. There's all the emails that I just received with all my ISD droid results. This is what the emails individually look like, and this is why we use the ISD app, because it can pass that information into these are resources that already exist on the database, but new planets. These are resources that exist on the database but didn't come back at the ISD with the ISD reports, so they're depleted. And then these are the new resources. Hit write to file, and that's going to write to a res.txt file, which you can open in-game if you want with a /note res. And this is what's about to be loaded up, which is all the resources which are new. So submit. That res.txt file uploads to the SWG Aide database, one planet, one resource at a time. There's actually a fairly large number of new resources today's scan. This whole process generally takes me about 40 minutes, including some waiting time between when we've done all the manual scanning and we're waiting for the droids to come back with their reports. Alright, now we're done. We can jump over to resources. All planets, all resources. We'll sort it by rate, and we can see these are all the ones that have no rating because we haven't put any stats in for them. We have now a shopping list. I see that Yavin needs has a fiberblast there, so I know I'm going to have to go to Yavin. I'm going to write a shopping list out. We could create a list of resources by class, by planet, or ones with no stats. So that's my rem.txt file. Open that up, and this will show me all of the resources which have no stats currently. Now I know all the emails have been successfully uploaded. I'm going to clean out my email inbox, and we're going to head to Yavin because I know I have to go there because it's got a planet unique resource at it. Most resources spawn on about 7 planets, so if you go to a planet that you have to go to, you know you're going to get about 70% of the resources will be available on that planet. So we're going to work down the list here. I'm going to scan for, sample, and then transfer the stats from that sample into the rem.txt notepad item. Scan for the next resource while I'm loading. Put the numbers in, And I made a mistake while we were doing this because I missed the fact that that resource was available right there. But we put the stats in, attributes the thing, and then we move on to the next resource. And we're just going to work our way down that shopping list, comparing it to what's available on this planet, one by one. If it's available on this planet, we'll scan for it, we'll sample it, we'll put the details in. Move to the next thing on the shopping list. If it's not available, then it'll be on a different planet, no worries, we skip on. If I scan for something and it doesn't even appear in my local radar, I'll also move on, because I'm going to be moving around enough that I don't need to chase down resources that are not even visible from the spot where I start. And working our way down the list. The resource is visible, but no good where I'm specifically sitting at. I'll make a movement for that. And of course that means I'm in a new spot, so now the resources that I didn't see on my radar earlier may be available at the new location. So once we get to the bottom, we sort of start back at the top for anything that I skipped over that is on this planet. There we are at the bottom of the list. Now headed back to the top to fill in anything that I skipped over because I couldn't see it from where I was standing at that moment. And we're done. We now have the majority of all of the new resources picked up at this planet that I knew I had to come to. We'll close it out, flick back to SWG Aide app, and we'll load the resources and submit them. Load them from the rem.txt file, and then submit rem.txt. It's going to go through all these one by one, uploading all the statistics, attributes to the database server. And then I'm going to write a new rem.txt file which has just the remaining half a dozen resources on it. Now check the app, and it says that one of these resources exists only on Dantooine, so that's my next spot. But again, we'll work my way through the whole list of 5 items, checking them off against local resources. If you fail, you've got another 25 seconds before you can try another sample. I usually use that time to run on to a slightly higher concentration. Not that it makes an awful lot of difference, just filling the gap. Alright, 3 more resources done. There's only 2 left, and if we look over there on Aide, it's going to tell us that each of those is only available on a limited number of planets as well. We've got that one that's available on Corellia, and the other one was available on a small subset. So we'll go to Rory because it's easy to get in and out of. Didn't rewrite the rem.txt because there's only 5 things on this. It's pretty straightforward. I know the last 2 only have 1 thing to get at each. Get the resource details and then move on to the next place. Last one. We can load that up to up to the Aide app, and it's only going to pull the 2 that are not already known. We submit that, and we can see here no current resources with no stats added. So we loaded all the names of the new apps, and we filled in all of the statistics for them. We are done. Now I'm going to check today's alerts based on the schematics that I've said I like and my current inventory of other stuff, and see if there's anything I need to go chasing.